So when you're out with a woman, whether it's someone you're just getting to know or someone you're dating, there's this moment, right? And it's not like a conscious thought, more like a vibe she picks up on. She's wondering, am I taking the lead here or is he leading the way? Because let's be real, what really attracts a woman is being with a guy who's strong, dominant, and masculine. Now the question is, how do you show that dominant, masculine energy? That's what we're diving into today. I want to share with you 5 traits, 5 ways to really show that dominant energy when you're hanging out with a woman. Because let's be honest, that's like one of the most attractive things you can put out there for a woman. Now when I'm chatting with my buddies or explaining this whole concept to someone who might not quite get it yet, here's the deal. Being masculine isn't about fitting into some stereotypical alpha mold. It's not just about looking all tough, like a bodybuilder or a biker. I mean, I get it. It can be confusing. I was confused too when I first heard about it, and judging by the comments I get, a lot of guys are in the same boat. Especially when people see some dudes who might seem a bit softer in their facial features, they jump to conclusions, right? Label them as beta instead of alpha males. But here's the real deal. I've seen plenty of guys who look all tough, big with tattoos and everything, but when they're with a woman crumble. It's like they turn into little boys, shedding tears into their beer. So being masculine is not just about the exterior. It's not about looking the part, it's about the vibe you throw out there. It's about the mindset you bring to the table, especially when you're dealing with women. Now here's another thing I always mention to really drive this point home and paint a clear picture. Think about 2 animals for a sec, like a kitten and a tiger. Ever wonder why the tiger commands more respect? It's pretty straightforward. The tiger is way harder to tame, harder to control. Now let's relate this to women. They're not looking for an easily controlled kitten. They want the challenge of a tiger, something that takes time to tame. So the question is, how do you become that tiger? We're diving into 5 steps, 5 tactics, 5 mindsets for you to start working on when you're around women. But hey, these mindsets aren't just for your dating game. They're solid in business situations too. Whether you're in a work environment or dealing with clients, bosses, everyone, these mindsets project that strong, masculine vibe that gets respect across the board. Now let's talk about the first trait, something crucial, the willingness to walk away. I always say you gotta show that you're willing to walk away. Now this is a little trick my buddies and I picked up back in college. We used to throw these parties at our place, and there was this move we called the walk away. Here's the deal we cracked. Early in the night, if there was a girl we were into, and we were chatting her up at the party, we found out that our chances of getting her interested skyrocketed if we actually walked away from the conversation after a bit. It's the opposite of what most guys do, They start talking, things are going well, and they feel like they gotta stick around the whole time. They're scared that if they step away, someone else might swoop in, and she'll lose interest. But what we discovered was gold. If you're having a good chat, and you drop a casual, "Hey, I'm gonna catch up with some friends, catch you later," and then reconnect with her later on, it's like magic. Her interest level spikes because you've shown you're not gonna be hanging on to her all night. You become that tiger, a bit harder to tame, and that, my friend, is the move. So this whole concept of walking away and showing that you're ready to walk away, there are a bunch of ways to pull it off. One simple way is by not showing too much interest or giving your stamp of approval for everything. You know what I mean? A lot of guys, especially when they're with a woman they find attractive, they're scared to show disapproval or boredom. It's like they're afraid to let her know if they're not impressed with something she says. Take for example, if she's telling a story and it's not really up to your standards. Maybe she's going on about cheating at something, and the typical nice guy might be like, "Oh, that's so cool." But if you genuinely think it's not cool, you call her out on it. Why? Because it shows her you're not willing to put up with that kind of behavior, that you've got standards and you're ready to walk away if things don't align. Here's the thing, when you're in the dating game with a woman, showing that you're ready to walk away is crucial. A lot of guys hit me with, "She's canceled on me every time I try to make plans," or "She never gives a clear answer, always wishy-washy, saying she'll let me know." It's frustrating, right? But here's the deal, you gotta show that willingness to walk away. Now some might say, should I give her an ultimatum? No, that's not the move. What you do is tell her straight up, "Look, flakiness is a real turnoff for me. It was cool hanging out, but I'm not sure this is gonna work out." And you actually walk away. Now at this point, one of 2 things is gonna happen. Either she's gonna be like, "Yeah, good, didn't like that guy," and you just saved yourself some time. Or she's gonna be thinking, "Wow, this guy isn't putting up with my crap like everyone else," and guess what? She might just start chasing after you. The key is always showing that readiness to walk away. Now the second thing I want to talk about, and it kind of ties into the first one, is demonstrating boundaries. So what are boundaries? They're like these internal and external rules you set for yourself. Let me break it down. For instance, a woman might have a boundary not to dive into the intimacy zone on the first date, and you gotta respect that. But here's the interesting part. When she lays down that boundary, there's this part of you that actually respects her more. She becomes more desirable because she's not just crumbling and changing her mind based on attraction, right? She's got this strong boundary. Now as guys, we want to roll with similar vibes, whether it's in our dealings with her or just navigating life in general that affects her. Let me give you an example. My phone stays on Do Not Disturb all day because I'm in the zone writing, creating videos like this. Getting texts or calls messes with my focus, you know? So I've set this boundary. Now, what would a typical nice guy do in this scenario? He might get all worried that if he keeps his phone on Do Not Disturb, he'll miss her texts and she won't be into him as much, so he might tweak his boundaries, allowing her messages to come through. But the attractive, masculine move? Just lay it out straight. Hey, during the day my phone's on Do Not Disturb. If I don't reply right away, I usually check it at lunch and get back to you if needed. Don't think I'm ignoring you. I just don't reply to anybody during the day, and that includes you. Simple and upfront. I had this buddy Abby, who was all about shoes off at the door in his house. At first, he'd get a bit jittery when a woman was over, thinking, should I let her keep her shoes on? But then he started stating his boundary, and guess what? Women were actually more attracted to him. Turns out, they respect those boundaries more than he thought. Now there are other types of boundaries you can roll with. Like there are periods in my life where I'm up super early, like 5 a.m., doing morning workouts and stuff. So if you're out on a date, you might just say, hey, gotta get up early tomorrow, so I'm gonna call it a night, instead of dragging it out for that extra shot and more time. It's all about setting those boundaries. And let's think about what women do. I always say, dealing with single moms can be one of the most attractive experiences. They've got these boundaries, commitments to their kids, rules they follow, and it makes guys chase them. I've seen it happen. Guys chasing single moms because they're not always the center of attention. Most women, not all but most, won't bend these boundaries for a new guy, and that just amps up their attractiveness. You gotta have similar things going on. I have buddies who are into golf, and every Sunday, that's their golf day with the crew. Now when they start dating someone, they lay it out right away. Sundays are golf day with the friends. And you can bet, women will try to test them. Hey, this Sunday my friend's having this event. You should come. They want to see if you're willing to give up golf day to join her for a cousin's party or a picnic. It might seem like giving it up shows you're super into her, and initially, she might think it's cool. But deep down she's thinking, I tamed this guy a bit easier than I thought. Remember, she wants someone who's really hard to tame. Now moving on to the next thing for projecting that masculine vibe, be willing to say no. I always say the most attractive word you can toss out there to a woman is no. Let me say it again for emphasis. The most attractive word you can say to a woman is no. I've seen it play out with guys, and let me share a story from my time waiting tables. Working with a bunch of young women. Great way to meet people, you know? There was this dude, David, and he had a reputation. You could swap shifts, right? So let's say I was scheduled for a Friday night, but I wanted it off. I could ask a coworker to cover for me. Now girls knew David couldn't say no. They'd go up to him, flirt a bit, and say, hey, I have to work New Year's Eve. Can you cover for me? David, being David, would be like, oh, New Year's Eve? I have plans. But with a touch and a plea, he'd end up signing up for the shift. He thought he was scoring points, but in reality not so much. Now if a girl came to me with the same request, I'd be like, get out of here. You think I'm working New Year's Eve for you? And funny enough, even though I'm saying no, they'd respect me a whole lot more. Saying no, my friend, that's the move. Female friends pull this move too, you know? If you've got a female friend who's always known she's got some kind of power over you, and then you start dating someone new, she'll pick up on it. Suddenly, she turns up the flirtation and tries to steer you away from that new girl. She'll be like, hey, why don't we go somewhere tonight? And if you're kind of into your female friend and not so sold on the new girl, you might think, oh, she's getting jealous. I better seize this chance to hang out with her instead. But guess what? By doing that, you're giving her exactly what she wanted. The real power move here is saying no. I actually have plans tonight, but maybe another day. When you drop a no, you're showing you're firm in your decisions, comfortable in your energy and masculinity. No amount of batting eyelashes is going to make you change your mind. That's where the real strength lies. This also ties into favors and all that, you know? Imagine you're out at a bar, hitting it off with a new girl and she's like, "Oh, I gotta go do something. Can you hold my bag for a sec?" Now 20 minutes later, there you are, stuck holding her bag like a fool. Well, reality check, just say, "Hey, I'm not gonna hold your bag. I'd love to keep chatting when you get back, but I'm not playing bag holder." She's gonna respect you more. I always think about it like this. Would you do it for your friends? If your buddy asked you to hold his umbrella all night at a bar, you'd probably be like, "Nah, not happening, dude." Now if a cute girl asks the same, and you say, "Sure," now you're stuck with her umbrella all night. Congratulations, you just became the easily tamed tiger. So bottom line, be ready to say no. Let's dive into the next one, and actually, the next two kind of go hand in hand. I'm going to roll through these together. The first one, let's call it approval honesty. Yeah, approval honesty might be the name for it. What I mean is, you should never use approval as a tactic to build rapport. See, in a flowing conversation, when things are clicking and you're vibing, throwing out some, "Oh my god, that's so cool," is all good. You're in the groove. But here's the deal, a lot of guys mess up early on. They sit down for a date, or they're just getting to know a woman, and right off the bat, they start dishing out instant approval, thinking it's going to amp up their attractiveness. In reality, it just shows you're a tiger she can easily tame. You don't have to jump in with, "Oh, that's so cool that you do that," or "Yeah, I love those shoes." Take a step back, chill, be more the judge, like, "Tell me more about that." Let her put in a little effort to impress you or earn your approval. That's the game plan. Let's break down this whole idea of taming a tiger. It's not an instant gig, you know? Taming a tiger takes time and effort. The more she puts in, the more respect she's going to have for you as a guy. Building on that, here's a tip. Don't be constantly qualifying yourself. So imagine you're in a chat and the topic sways to her ex-boyfriend. She's like, "My ex was so annoying, always glued to football on Sundays. I never got any time with him." Now there's always that guy who jumps in, trying to qualify himself, like, "Oh, I'd never be like that. My ex used to watch the show, and it was so annoying." Problem is when you do that, you're kind of dropping your own value in her eyes. We tend to do it in various ways, agreeing with everything she says or consciously trying to showcase traits we think will impress her. Like, "Oh, I love to travel too. I've got this awesome work schedule tailored for travel." Why are you tossing that into the mix? Because you think it's going to qualify you in her eyes. Here's the real deal. A masculine move is letting her fit into your expectations. It's not about overpowering her. It's about being solid in what you genuinely like. I'm all about women who stick to what they like. I don't want someone faking interest to impress me or ditching their plans for me. I want a woman with boundaries, someone who can say no, and someone who won't stick around if I'm treating her like crap. It's not about dominating. It's about mutual respect. You gotta treat yourself in a way that she respects just as much as you respect her. You know? One piece of advice I throw out there for the guys is this whole idea of disqualifying yourself. It might sound like a tactic, and sometimes it is, but it's also just something I do. So picture this. A woman says something like, "I can't deal with messy guys." And truth be told, you're a bit of a slob. What I do? Just casually drop, "Well, you might as well cross me off that list, 'cause I'm a slob, no doubt about it." Disqualifying myself right there. Let's say she's all about that feminist vibe, talking workplace equality and such. And maybe that's not your vibe. Just say it straight up, "Man, I'm totally old school. I want a wife who has dinner on the table when I come home, massaging my feet and all." It's like disqualifying yourself if that's not her scene. See, the thing is, the nice guy thinks, "Oh no, I'm taking myself out of the game." But reality check, you've become way more intriguing to her. Why? 'Cause you're not desperately seeking approval, you're not afraid to risk losing it. You're ticking all the boxes, showing you're ready to walk away, showcasing your boundaries, saying no when needed, not seeking approval and not constantly qualifying yourself. That's the real essence of being masculine. If you're vibing with this video, show some love, hit that like button. It's not just for me, it's for the other guys out there who need this info. 'Cause let's be real, being masculine isn't about putting on a tough guy act. It's about what's happening inside you. Catch you in the next one.